Today we're getting into the latest Tesla news, including a new longer range Model Y, Elon's response to Tesla's stock dropping, huge Cybertruck discounts available, and more, so let's get into it. First up today, there's a lot going on with Tesla's most popular car right now, the Model Y. Tesla's in the process of launching the refresh out of 4 different factories, and as such, they're selling out of that Launch Series edition and starting to make regular versions of this car. But first, we have something very exciting for the future potential of this car, having to do with range. The Model Y has had pretty much the same range since launch. Of course, that has varied. I think it started around 320 miles predicted for the all-wheel drive version that they first launched with, and then it dropped a little bit with different EPA rating systems, and now it's back up to about 327 miles of an EPA estimated range. These days, the EPA estimates are pretty reliable, but overall it's been around 300 or a little bit more for the miles of range. For many customers, they want more. They want to see 400 miles of range, and they won't even consider buying an EV until it gets to that point. And they want to see this from Tesla to be more competitive with other cars coming from companies like Lucid. For the most popular car in the world, maybe they could make a longer range version. Well, over in Korea, the Model Y has officially been certified for sale, and it has a larger battery pack. Currently, the Model Y has an 82 kilowatt-hour battery pack. About 75 of that is predicted to be usable, but for this new version of the refreshed Model Y over in Korea, it's utilizing a 70.75 kilowatt-hour pack for the standard range model, and then an 89.64 kilowatt-hour pack for the long-range model. Of course, that is about 7.64 kilowatt hours more than we see on the current Model Y long range in other markets. There are some factors at play here, and this could be a less efficient pack as a whole. But if we took those numbers and efficiencies to be the same, that could mean that this Model Y delivers about a 357-mile range if it came to the US. Of course, it's not a perfect conversion, because usually extra battery capacity means added weight, but it's exciting nonetheless, and the real question is, would Tesla bring this to the United States? For now, it seems we're keeping the battery pack the same, since they've talked about the Launch Series version of this car delivering a 327-mile range. But in time, they could upgrade that battery pack in incremental ways to get us to a 357-mile range. Even that, getting over that 350-mile mark, is pretty good. It's little things over time that do get us to longer ranges, even though people do want to see a 400-mile range version of this car. There have been plenty of rumors that Tesla would bring out a 100 kilowatt-hour version of this pack, which could enable about a 400-mile range on the Model Y. That would definitely be a big step for those customers and help expand the market for this car, but we'll have to see. At the very least, this is a step in the right direction. In any case, deliveries are underway in many different markets for this car, but deliveries have also officially begun in the United States. We've seen a couple customers receive their Model Ys with photos of them at their delivery appointments, and then Tesla is holding an official Model Y handoff event at Giga Texas on March 8th. I'm assuming this will be a pretty standard event, but it's always exciting because we may hear some new details that we didn't hear before. On the same day, they're also holding an event at their Fremont factory, so they're covering most of their initial US deliveries with a little bit of an event. Over in China specifically, this new version of the Model Y is selling incredibly well. Of course, they did do the launch series of this car there, but they've sold other trims of that car there as well. Those other trims start at about $36,180 for the rear-wheel drive version, and then more for the long-range all-wheel drive version. One thing that's important to note here is that the rear-wheel drive does have a wait time of about 2 to 4 weeks, so it's already somewhat readily available, but then the long-range all-wheel drive version has about a 6 to 10 week wait. Tesla is offering some insurance subsidies here and then 5-year 0% interest financing as a package up until March 31st. So they are selling very well, but they do have some incentives going on there, and then wait times are a little lower. That seems to be a bit of a mix of this car being popular, but Tesla also being incredibly productive at that Chinese factory. In any case, the regular version of this car has also gone on sale in Europe, and they've stopped selling the launch edition there. The rear-wheel drive version actually directly matches the current rear-wheel drive version of the Model Y at 44,990 euros. That's of course standard range, then rear-wheel drive long range is at 49,990 euros, and long-range all-wheel drive is 52,990. So it's exciting to see those other trims coming to be in Europe and China, but in the United States, we're still only seeing the upgraded launch edition of this car, and then Tesla selling out inventory of the old Model Y. They're balancing rolling out this launch series, but not making too many of them, too many to the point where they might have trouble getting rid of them, like we're seeing with the Foundation Series Cybertruck, while also needing to sell off inventory of that old car. As such, there are many big discounts available on the Model Y, and all of these trims still qualify for the federal EV tax credit of $7,500 for the time being. So that's very important to keep in mind with this pricing if you do qualify. If you're in the market for a Model Y and you don't mind the older version, there are some pretty incredible deals here. Discounts up to $8,170 are available, and that's prior to the tax credit. So with that tax credit, you could be getting $15,000 off or more. These discounts are clearly labeled on their website. So here is one, a base Model Y, rear-wheel drive, brand new for $3,150 off. So before the tax credit, it's $41,440. With that tax credit, it's $34,340. And then if you do include Tesla's gas savings estimate, that comes in at $28,340. There are plenty of other rear-wheel drive versions available of this car as well in inventory with discounts, and here are some at $3,800 off. The discounts increase to a lot from there when you get to Tesla's more expensive trims like the Performance Model Y. This car is normally $51,490, but here's one that is marked down by $8,020, down to $45,470. That's really incredible for the performance version of this car, and that's nearly the base price of this car at $44,990. Of course, that's all changing because we have this new version with all of these improvements, and they're selling all of the old versions at big discounts in inventory. But still, it's pretty incredible that just a couple months ago, this car was $8,000 more expensive. Lastly, here's another performance model in Quicksilver at $46,320. That one is marked down $8,170, and that one even includes a tow hitch. It's a pretty remarkable deal, but of course it's not the refresh. With that said, there is no performance Model Y refresh, at least for the time being. But we do expect that car to come sometime later this year. That's exactly what Tesla did with the Model 3 refresh, and we know that they love to sell performance versions of their cars. So the Model Y performance refresh is coming. It's just a question of how long it will take for them to get there. We do expect this to get pretty much the same upgrades as the Model 3 refresh. A 0 to 60 potentially around 3.2 seconds, bucket seats, forged wheels, a spoiler, perhaps a different bumper that distinguishes it from the other trims, and then a different rear diffuser that also does the same. So there are a ton of discounts going on right now for the Model Y, especially the old version in inventory. And then soon enough, we should see those new versions come to the United States. In the meantime, in the US, deliveries are underway and ramping up soon, and the rest of the world is really expanding with the launch series of this car. I'm very excited to see it, and if you haven't seen my full review of that car, you can check that out linked in the description below. Next up today, a huge part of Tesla and people's interest in the company is their stock. From 2016 to 2020, Tesla's stock saw a 5,000% increase. So for those investors that stuck it through Tesla's incredibly painful ramp of the Model 3, which looked like it may lead them to bankruptcy, they saw their investment grow immensely. For example, if you had $10,000 in Tesla stock back in 2016 and held through to 2020 and sold at the top, that would have become about $510,000. It's an insane growth story for many investors, and trends did continue from there, of course, less extreme. From 2020 to 2022, Tesla stock saw growth of about 300%. Then between 2022 and today, they've seen about a 25% decrease. Even with these massive swings in recent years, they are up 939% from January of 2020 to the present. So looking back over 5 years of Tesla stock, we see intense peaks and valleys, and lately there have been a lot of valleys. Looking back year to date, Tesla stock has, of course, been trending down. But of course, this stock has always been very volatile. On this chart, red is down and green is up. When you look month to month, there's a lot of red and then a lot of green. But then when you look in each year, there are mostly green years. 2020 was clearly their best year by far here. So the story for years about Tesla has been that this company is over. The stock is going to crash, they're going to stop selling cars and more, which is actually why you see a surprising resilience amongst Tesla fans, but especially big name investors. There are plenty of articles and continue to be plenty of articles about how Tesla will fail. There are lots of Tesla killers that were announced but never came to be, and many are seeing slow rollouts. Right now, though, is a pretty big dip for Tesla, and we're seeing lots of popular investors investing. Goldman Sachs bought about $350 million of Tesla, BlackRock bought $2.6 billion, Vanguard bought $1.3 billion, Charles Schwab bought $270 million, and the famous investor Ray Dalio bought $63 million of Tesla stock. One thing I will say though is, of course, this is not financial advice, and this tweet is also a good example of why you don't necessarily want to take financial advice from tweets and social media and such. They hinted that $325 was the bottom because of these investors buying, but of course we're at about $290 right now. For long term though, ARK Invest predicts that Tesla will reach $2,600 per share in 2029. Wedbush puts a price target of $550 per share in 12 months, and then Morgan Stanley's Adam Jonas says that Tesla is still a top pick in autos, despite the recent fall off on the stock. They said, quote, lower car deliveries are emblematic of a company transitioning from a pure automotive play to a diversified AI and robotics play. He also went on to say that Tesla's humanoid robot opportunity is not factored into their bull or base case, but it's becoming serious enough to actually move Tesla stock. In any case, after this, John Ehrlichman predicted that Tesla could grow by about 258% over the next 5 years based on analyst estimates, which would beat Nvidia, Amazon, Apple, and many others. And then Elon responded to this. Of course, Elon was very positive about his outlook for Tesla, even though many feel he isn't even paying attention to Tesla right now. He said, quote, the long-term outcome for Tesla is very high, and also said, it will require outstanding execution, but I think more like 1,000% gain for Tesla in 5 years is possible. Of course, Elon is always predicting long-term, and very exciting and optimistic about the future. Sometimes he's right, but other times things take a very long time to come to fruition. Just look at full self-driving. I think most people using the latest version on cars like the Model 3 and Y can see that it's actually getting towards something really good, but that has been predicted for many years. So you always have to take Elon's predictions with a grain of salt. But of course, that is Elon's position. He thinks that Tesla will grow by about 1,000% over the next 5 years based on how they execute. It's definitely a very interesting time because they have a lot of exciting things on the roadmap for 2025 regarding vehicles, but then we do know they're diving much further into robotics, and in June they plan to launch first robotaxi rides in Austin. Even if they're a little late to that, that will be a very big deal. At the same time, this is a very tumultuous time for Tesla, and a lot of that has to do with Elon Musk's approval rating, so we'll see where things go from here. But what do you think about Tesla stock? Are you optimistic or pessimistic for the future? Leave a comment below to let me know your thoughts. Next up today, the Cybertruck is a very interesting vehicle for Tesla because it's so striking, yet at the same time, it just got rated 5 stars by NHTSA for safety. It actually came in with the lowest probability of injury of any pickup truck ever tested by NHTSA. So it's a very safe truck with tons of great features, even though it looks crazy to a lot of people. It has been interesting to watch the popularity of that car grow immensely when it first launched, and then come down to where you can get one pretty easily in inventory. They're also offering inventory discounts and incentives at this point. First, they're offering free supercharging once again for the Cybertruck. If you order a Foundation Series truck specifically, which comes with that $20,000 upcharge, it now includes free supercharging. However, they're also offering discounts on top of that. So I can see a lot of all-wheel drive Cybertrucks available near me with free supercharging and a discount of $5,000. So it's coming in at $94,990 instead of $100,000. For a lot of people, that can be a really great deal if they're going to be driving a lot, because this includes FSD, and then anytime you charge your Cybertruck at a supercharger, it will be free. I think it's a great road trip car, even though the range isn't as good as other cars like the Model S, but it's very comfortable for that use. So I know for me, I would love to have this incentive with my Cybertruck, but I bought before this was available. In any case, they're also offering $6,000 off the Cyber Beast. That car is usually $120,000, and they're offering it for $113,990, again with free supercharging. This is that thing where they made too many Foundation Series trucks, and they're still trying to offload them. At the same time, Tesla is offering leases of $749 a month for the Cybertruck, the base model there, and they have now put a deadline on that of March 3rd. That deal is going to be ending on March 3rd and likely shooting back up anywhere from $800 to $900. So of course, if you're in the market for a Cybertruck, this does seem to be a good time to buy, but it also always seems like it's a good time to wait. I know right now is definitely the best time we've ever seen for buying the Cybertruck, and that's simply because it's the current time. They always seem to be running deals, and then we do expect to see that rear-wheel drive version come about soon. As for the features of this truck, one issue is getting fixed soon. When you use the windshield wiper to clean off your giant windshield on the Cybertruck with a giant wiper, it actually doesn't do a really good job. It oftentimes leaves massive streaks. And Tesla's lead engineer for the Cybertruck, Wes, said if you hold the wash button through 2 cycles, the wiper will now continuously soak your windshield, effectively doubling the amount of fluid dispensed. This will be getting fixed with an over-the-air software update of 2025.2.8, and it should be arriving soon for a lot of Cybertruck owners. I know I haven't gotten it yet, but it should be rolling out in the near future. I've definitely noticed this issue, so it will be good to see this fixed on the Cybertruck, and it's always a great thing to see all the things that Tesla is able to fix with software updates. At the same time, it always does raise the question though, why didn't they think of this ahead of time? How did this not come about at any point in their testing before they launched the Cybertruck? Still, I'm excited to see it get fixed. Next up today, early on in their history, EPA ranges weren't too accurate. They did their best to estimate how an EV would perform in the real world, but there are many factors involved. So we would see certain EVs get really high ratings, but not actually perform very well in the real world. Well, these days, ratings by the EPA have changed a lot, and they're actually much more reflective of the real world, especially with Tesla vehicles, which is a really great thing to see. Of course, there are always many factors involved with an EPA estimated range and how it will perform for you in the real world. Temperature, wind, how you drive, speed, and so many things will affect your range, just like it does in a gasoline vehicle. But when it comes to an EV, people are more cognizant of this range because they then have to go charge the car. With that said, Tesla has now updated a couple EPA ranges on their vehicles. For the Model 3, equipped with the 19-inch Nova wheels, the long-range rear-wheel drive model saw its range jump from 322 miles up to 343 miles, which is a 6.5% increase. At this point, it's unclear if this increased because of new tires, or if it simply increased because it got tested again and performed better in the real world. If that's the case, it would mean that all of the other cars sold would probably actually get this same EPA rating. For the long-range all-wheel drive model, it went from 316 to 332 miles, a 5% increase. One thing that is interesting to see with these updated ranges is that they say they're Tesla's own estimates. So maybe they're Tesla's estimates for the 2025 year, but we haven't actually gotten the official numbers from the EPA. Still, those are matching up a lot more these days. One particular test done by out-of-spec motors with that Model 3 performed incredibly well. They got 370 miles in the real world with a Model 3, which is pretty unheard of. So it's really exciting to see these ranges continuing to improve. At the same time, the Model S has now got an upgrade as well. This one's a little smaller, from 402 miles to 410 miles of range. That's with the all-wheel drive model with the stock wheels. Range is always a concern for people buying EVs, so it's always great to see these numbers increasing. 410 miles feels a lot better than 400, believe it or not. It's these small things that can just set people over the edge. Last up today, some updates from other automakers. Lucid Motors is one of the most exciting EV companies in America, up there with Tesla and Rivian for many people. Their Lucid Air has performed really well in the real world, and speaking of range, it has one of the best ranges available on an EV. In any case, they have just launched their Gravity SUV with its native NACS charge port, but a lot of their success so far has been attributed to their CEO Peter Rawlinson. However, Peter Rawlinson just announced that he is stepping down from the CEO position over at Lucid. He will be staying on the board at Lucid as a strategic technical advisor while the company searches for another CEO, but this change in leadership does come at a time that Lucid is looking to expand rapidly. They sold about 10,241 units last year, and they're planning to sell up to 20,000 in 2025. They're still operating at a big loss right now of about $3 billion annually, so they have a lot of growth to go from here. They do expect that the Gravity SUV will help out with that, since it has a range of 440 miles on a single charge, is compatible with NACS, and offers a lot of great luxury features in a really cool package. But regardless, getting profitable is incredibly difficult. I'm of course rooting for them, and especially excited to see when they can make more affordable models. They have really great engineering in their cars, and some of the best efficiency available in EVs. So if they can get all the way down the road to that more affordable EV, utilizing a lot of their technology, it should be something that's really great, and a really great Tesla competitor. That's all the latest Tesla news for today, so in the meantime, if you want to see my full review of the new Model Y refresh, you can check out that video linked up here or in the description below. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.